Hello, my name is Gary Pope and I'm the CEO of Kids Industries. We make family brands stronger through insight, strategy and creative. I've decided to record this as there's a bunch of people out in my street digging holes in the internet and I really didn't want to be on the receiving end of a chorus of "Oh, you frozen Gary." Anyway, wouldn't it be wonderful if marketing was easy? What if there was a segment of the marketplace in which the audience not only buys your goods or services, but proactively, like really proactively, wants you to do really, really well? They care about you and they support you. They can't wait to go to your concert, to watch you play football. They post the most effusive comments on your YouTube channel. They tell all their friends to play your games. And then they even get a tattoo with your name on. Deep, emotional connections that are the stuff of marketeers' dreams. I am talking, of course, about fans and, in blunt commercial terms, what we like to call the fandom economy. So what is fandom and what is the fandom economy? Well, a fandom is a subculture composed of fans characterised by a feeling of empathy and camaraderie with others who share a common interest. But, of course, as ever, children often speak with greater clarity than adults. Like when you like someone and you want to see them and know a lot about them, but you can't really because some of them live in America. It was always thus, wasn't it? Over 60% of sports revenue is generated by the most engaged fans. On some levels, it's nothing new. Sci-fi fandom dates back to the 1930s. 25 years ago, on the 13th of February 1996, Take That broke up and a special phone line was established to deal with the hitherto unbridled teenage angst. With the growth of entertainment platforms, fandom has grown massively and marketeers have had to keep step as it became increasingly obvious that significant proportions of their revenue were generated by the most engaged fans. In simple terms, it's the age-old 80-20 rule. Easy to say, but significantly harder to actually engineer. But in almost any industry, those who are devoted are more valuable than just the average consumer. The blue bars show just how much more loyal fans spend versus just normal customers. You need to develop fandom. Let's take an example. I'm sure you'll all have heard of BTS, a 7-member Korean boy band. If you've not seen them before, here they are. The most fascinating part of BTS's meteoric story, as a marketeer at least, is their fandom. ARMY, as they're called. They're arguably the most powerful force of fandom in the world. Advocating, purchasing, even translating every piece of output so that ever more people around the world can access their idols. And they use every media tool at their disposal. ARMY coordinate to marshal the votes of any poll or competition so that BTS simply walk it. There's no advertising campaign, it's all UGC. In 2018, the band contributed over $4 billion to the South Korean economy. That's a bigger impact than the Seoul Winter Olympics of the same year. This boy band are responsible for nearly 0.5% of the entire Korean GDP, and this is the same economy that gives us Hyundai, Kia and Samsung. They're so much bigger than the Beatles. At KI, our strategy team has been studying fandom for a number of years. Over a course of studies involving over 50,000 families from every corner of the world, we've developed a fandom model, a tool that helps you better understand the fans you have and, more importantly, the fandom that you can grow. So today, I'd like to share two things with you. Firstly, to introduce you to the model so that you can use it, and secondly, to outline the fandom trends and some updates that we've made. Models are only as good as the data that you plug into them, and fandom is especially dynamic. It changes. So the model is divided into three themes: self-definition, social amplification, and interaction moments. And each theme is further broken down. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to walk you through each element of the fandom model, and you should be able to apply this to your own audience from tomorrow. Let's start with self-definition. Fandom is highly personal, and self-definition explores the strength and the dynamics of an individual's fandom and how they perceive themselves and how they grow as a result of their fandom. Fans badge. They proudly display their allegiance, and they do so publicly or privately or on their smartphone. These fantastic Potter badges signal to everyone the wearer's fandom, and of course the wearer paid for the privilege of doing so. Berging. This is basking in reflected glory, and it can be very strong. It's the feeling of we won the cup, even though you're sat on your backside watching on the telly. When you're a fan, you feel the victory is partly yours because you are connected to the beating heart of a much bigger entity. Skills development is not about their success, it's about yours. As a fan, the question is, can they support you? Children inherently need to see themselves progress, and some brands facilitate this brilliantly. A child that is really into Cristiano Ronaldo may watch the videos and improve at football, or a preschooler doing the wonderful Hey Dougie yoga that was released during lockdown will of course be progressing their skills too. One important development to the fandom model over the past year has been the inclusion of friendship. The power of social media and the boost in direct-to-consumer communications has completely transformed this branch of fandom. Now, not only do children, young people and even adults, secretly, want to be friends with the brands they identify with, there's also the possibility that on some level that friendship might be reciprocated. This isn't without issues and blurs the lines of official communication, but it is so powerful. BTS's communication with the fans is frequent, reliable and very intense. Their core values of being vulnerable and truthful and behaving in this way at every touch point make for a very powerful connection. Each of the band members has cried on camera. So whilst on some levels this may be a very highly regulated content machine, on others it is led by being genuine, and that is highly valued. The next core theme of fandom is interaction moments. This is the most functional aspect of fandom and one you can really control. It explores each of the available touch points that your brand has with its fans. Analysis of the storytelling a brand is able to execute tells us a great deal about the emotional connection children and families will have with the brand. A music star with a good story, or even a food brand that is seen as an underdog, will engender far more fans than those that simply have a product to offer. I'm sure you'll be familiar with the Gruffalo, and perhaps Gruffalo's wonderful woodland trails. They create a story around the family, an emotional experience for what could have been just a walk in the woods. These wonderful woodland interaction moments create memories for families. And what is more delightful for a parent than seeing your child's eyes widen with delight as they cuddle the Gruffalo, even if he does have turned out toes and a poisonous wart on the end of his nose. There is so much noise out there that you are competing for mindshare all day, every day. Ensuring the right frequency is vital. Is it a daily occurrence? Weekly? Less frequent? We live in an always-on world. Being where they are, when they are, is essential. When fandom is robust, product interactions become a real pleasure. They enhance the connection and make us feel like better fans. Jojo Siwa may have started on the TV show Dance Mums, but now has multiple YouTube channels, TikTok presence, and a whole host of programming with Nickelodeon. She has sold over 40 million of her iconic bows, around $10 a pop. I'll let you do the maths. Now, new for 2021, we added the element of influence. It's a two-way street. Fans now influence the brand, and brands need to enable that more and more. From Lil Nas asking his fans how many tracks to include on an album, to Neopets introducing a character designed by a fan. The examples are many. On Warrior Cat's Fandom Hub app that we designed at Kids Industries, it clearly states that the Council of Elders participated in the creation of the platform. And of course, the Council of Elders are a group of superfans with whom we engaged throughout the development process. We define participation as an analysis of how much fans feel that they can create content inspired by the brand. Whether that's YouTube videos, their own versions of costumes, whatever it might be. And of course, some brands allow participation more than others. Twilight does, Ferrari doesn't. But over the last 5 years, fans have gained access to tools that allow them to create very high quality content. And so we see a huge number of Star Wars fans films being made, extremely high quality productions in some cases. This quality and committed participation means that prominent fandom accounts can become brands in their own right. The amazing and hugely successful gamers and YouTubers like Ninja and KSI are now international stars with very well developed brands of their own. Participation is not reserved just for entertainment brands, of course. The Starbucks fan accounts on TikTok have a stronger following than the official account. There's now an entire branch of how to order, how to make on TikTok. In the final section of our fandom model, social amplification, we look at who the fandom is shared with. Children use fandom as a means to identify with and belong to a social group, and which social group they are looking to belong to changes the fandom dynamics. The friends and family elements are arguably self-explanatory and understandably essential to fandom. Family is the first social group we belong to, and up until, 6 to 8, the most influential one. We all have fandoms that were introduced to us by our families and vice versa. We probably influenced our parents' affinity to certain things. My own daughter made me a fan of Shit Creek, for example. Anyway, during our research we found that shows that parents and children can enjoy together have a higher incidence of fandom, even when the shows are preschool. Hey Dougie's Sticky Song, for example. The social bonding that occurs during these moments helps reinforce the fandom. It's common sense. But then once children start going to school, peer influence slowly takes over. Friends can be a really strong amplifier of fandom. But it's important not to assume that a strong sharing culture of a product with a high word of mouth and nothing else can sustain long-term fandom. Affinity, sure, but not fandom. Don't assume that kids will become fans of something just because their friends are. Community has seen its importance to fandom rise significantly over the past year. A social group that is centred around a fandom, it can be offline or online, doesn't really matter, filled with close friends or acquaintances, but it always serves a certain universal human need, and that is to be part of something bigger. When once a child would need to rely on local friends to share their fandom, it's much easier these days to find like-minded souls. Whether that's through Roblox, Fortnite, DeviantArt, Reddit or elsewhere, there's a community for everyone. Here's a calendar widget from BTS's Army. You can literally plug everything those lads are up to into your own calendar. This is our strategy director, Yelena's. This simple widget makes her a part of the Army community. This is a community, by the way, that raised $1 million for Black Lives Matter in 24 hours. One in an Army is a volunteer group of around 30 organisers and translators that conduct monthly campaigns for 22 charities, raising money all the while. And what is Lego Life if not a fantastic community of children and youth who are fans of Lego? Amazingly moderated and a really open, really exciting space. On some levels, fandom modelling is fantastically simple, as it offers you a very simple set of questions to ask of your teams and audiences. But it is also incredibly complex, as it demands we think of our brands and products and services in a very different way, not as static marketing items, but rather as dynamic, more open entities, ones in which at best our fans have a vested interest too. The brands, products, services that succeed in the new future are those that forget all about making things for their consumers and rather focus on making their name with their consumers. I hope this whistle-stop tour across fandom has been useful and informative. The fandom model is on our website, kidsindustries.com, for you to use, and if you send me an email or ping me on LinkedIn, I'll send you a copy. There are some fantastic sessions coming up for the rest of the morning and into the afternoon, so I do hope you enjoy your day. Thank you very much.